welcome to a very special edition of We Women Want. First of all, I'd like to wish all of you a very happy Women's Day. And in keeping in mind and celebrating the event, we are going to be talking today directly to the stakeholders, to the women of today, and asking them what are the main issues and concerns that they are plagued with, that the issues that they would like to change, topics that they discuss among themselves, what are the trends, what are their feelings. As you know, on this show, we've been actually, it's a show curated by women for women, where we've been talking about issues ranging from body shaming, from being divorced or being a single mother, from laws that help women, being a women CEO, women workplaces, acid attack victims, a whole gamut of things, even women's health issues, being menopausal, going through IVF, reproductive this thing of women. So here is a show where we can talk about everything and anything that concerns women. So joining us on the show today is, we've got a whole panel of young girls who are from the Vedica Scholars Program of Women from New Delhi. And of course, helping me curate the conversation is Anuradha Das Mathur. She is the founder and dean of Vedica Scholars Program. So welcome, Anuradha, for this conversation. And really, today's woman is, I find her, the voice, she's very independent, she's fierce, she knows what she wants. And there is a lot of groundwork has been done already, but she's not, she's just making progress and just going ahead and ahead. So keeping that in mind, the women of today, how would you see, you're training girls to join the professional world. What is the advice that you give them? How do you tell them that they should opt for an all-women office, or if they work in a men versus women office, should they fight for things like equal pay? But equal pay positions of power also come with positions of responsibility. I've heard you say that pretty often. So just explain what you would tell them.
Thank you first for having us here. It's an absolute delight, and happy Women's Day. This whole program started, Priya, not to help women join the workforce, but actually to help them stay in the workforce.
Good point.
Because a lot of our institutions are working really hard, and girls are doing really well. They do well in school, they do well in college, they do well in their postgraduate degrees, they get great jobs. But between 28 and 35, it's a really leaky pipeline, and the girls just fall off the map because nobody is telling them that the world that they face, even if we are saying men and men are equal, we're not the same. So the world that women face when they join the workforce is not the same as the world that men face. And our focus in the last 8 years that we've been running this program is to say, of course, be competent, be really smart, go out and get that great job, but become really good and equipped at dealing with what the world will throw at you so that you don't drop out of the workforce. So we constantly say, #don't quit. If a Vedica scholar by the time she graduates says, I will not quit, I think we have succeeded. And we watch them. So, our girls have now been out in the workforce for the 8 years. Many of them are past the leaky pipeline number. And I think that's what success will mean, that these girls are able to navigate the world and the workplace and stay in it. The workplace is not men versus women.
Okay.
The workplace is not only women. I think patriarchy is the common enemy for both men and women. The burden on a young boy to continue to work, whether he likes his job or his boss or not, because he's expected to provide for, I think is as draconian as a young woman being picked up and taken away from college and married off at 18 and never being allowed to work. So I think we have to all work together to create a world that feels better for both men and women. Whether they're in an all-women's workplace or in a men and women workplace, they have to be able to shine and be the best version of themselves. That's really what we say at Vedica.
I'd like to throw open the floor to you all. How many of you all are working already, looking for jobs?
So all of us are doing, we are managing the Vedica program and internships. I know people who are doing courses, internships, and the Vedica program. So it's not like we are just doing the program or anything.
Okay. So my next question is, how many of you would prefer to work in an all-women work office? You would prefer to be in all? Why would you? Give her the mic.
I feel I have studied the whole school, college and all, everything in co-ed.
Okay.
But in this Vedica, I think there is an individuality that's coming out. So I think that's the reason I would like to work in a all women office.
But why? I mean, not just Vedika, but why? Because you feel that women are easier to work with, or you feel that
There is no such reason, but uh, both are fine for me. But if there is an opportunity that there is all women, I
you're
would go
more
for it.
comfortable? Okay.
Yeah.
So I will answer your question with an example. So previous to coming to Vedica, I was working in a corporate sector, and I was working in software development.
Okay.
And so sometimes when we handle products for our clients, we get offers from various countries outside of India. And in one such project, I was working closely with the CEO of the company, because it was a small startup. And I still remember him saying this. And he himself was a very young fella, and he and his wife, they all co-owned the company. And even at that, I remember him specifically saying on a project. The project had quite late deadlines. It was a project from Germany, and they had to hire 20. They had to make a team of 20 developers, and they did not hire a single female employee. And we had really skilled female software developers. And he said, well, because वो जो whoever that employee was, इनको घर जल्दी जाना होता है. अरे रात को 9 बजे के बाद तो लफड़ा करेंगी रुकने में. That's what he said. And that meant that all he could prioritize was the employee should stay back at the office at his own peril, at their own peril. And so that.
Instead of providing a safer transport home.
So
Yeah,
I
okay.
think it eliminates that entire other section of voting or other section of perspective. So in a women's workforce, that comes into play. Woman understands that section of society.
Adding on to Riya's point, if I had to work in an all-women office, my reason would be, we recently had a rural immersion program. So we went to a village and saw a group of women who had self-help groups. So from there, I learned that if I had to work in an all-women office, it would be because women, when work together, they create magic and they understand each other better than any man could. So yeah, that's right.
Adding more to Ayushi's point, because this is also my first time studying in a co-ed in a all women program. I think the support we get from another women is so much, and it means so much, because still there's a competition, because we all want to get better, but still you support each other, and if someone needs help, then you will not hesitate. So I think that sense of community and belongingness, that because we all face similar issues, so when we talk about problems, we all can relate.
So what are the
to
issues and problems you face?
Okay, so when we talked about the mobility issue, that we don't feel safe when we go outside. So if we are together, because now we all are together, so when we go out, we don't hesitate, and we crack our jokes, and we speak whatever we want. So if there is even a bunch of guys sitting there, we won't think too much about it, and we'll just enjoy. So they'll see, oh my god, they are laughing so loudly and all that, but yeah, but there's no sense of shame, because we are just happy.
I would really love to work in an all-women space, because women of today are have a very progressive mindset. This is what I feel. Adding on to Ayushi's point, a recent trip to Kesla, I saw women there. They were self-motivated, and women of today don't misuse their power. So yeah, I would really love to work in an all-women
space.
Can I?
Yeah, but I have a different point of view. First,
Yeah.
you say.
Yeah, so I think I think right now they are on a high, Priya, because Vedika, Vedica's
Anuradha will bring them down to earth.
No, Vedica is a bubble we've created for young women
Yeah.
to be able to think about themselves, their lives, their dreams, their aspirations in an ungendered manner. That's the experiment. That I'm not circumscribing my life and dreams already by parents won't allow, husband won't allow, children will, it'll be difficult. We are saying for these 18 months, just fly. And at least know what you want, what you can want, and then make the adjustments on the compromises. I think the average young woman in India and in other parts of the world, we are so gendered with years and years of patriarchy that we don't allow ourselves to think for ourselves. I think they are on that high, and the power of sisterhood, which we encourage them to recognize, I think all of that is very evident right now. Having said that, I think this experiment makes them confident enough to go out and then deal with whatever, because they will be able to spot those allies, spot the sisterhood, spot their support groups to be able to work. My big takeaway from this is that, when I was starting work, at that time, the belief was that women don't help women.
Yes.
The queen bee syndrome was about, senior women actually go against younger women. So the fact that this generation is completely breaking that stereotype, and I can say that for myself, that I've always had support from women, and I'd like to believe that I've been supported.
Okay.
So I think that's the myth that's getting broken, which I feel very good about. I hope that by the time they graduate, which is another year, they'll be equally happy to work in any workforce and still crack it.
Yeah, that's. But how many of you? No, I was just interrupting. Would like to? How many of you are planning on getting married?
No, some of them, come on, don't hesitate. Yeah.
1, 2. Eventually, yeah. So, but okay, how many of you guys are, you women and girls, sorry, are not against marriage, is it? Or is somebody totally against? Not at all. Yeah.
Nice. I'm happy
That
to
is
hear
the,
that.
yeah, the main, but marriage is something that will happen along with work. Am I right? Yes. That is the. How many of you are planning, because many discussions I've had this, the issue of a woman's biological clock also comes up. So how many of you have a kind of a timetable, this thing, by this time I'll get married, I'll have a kid? Is there any such scheduling happening? Pressure from families?
A lot of times families think that, okay, girl child, let's not educate them too much, otherwise they would not want to get married. That's not true. Like, we still want families, we still would like to have a big family, like to have kids, like to take care of the partner's family and our family too. So it's not like we are in that western, even in that thought process that, okay, we don't want anyone in our lives. That's not true. So that's one thing. And we cannot deny that we do have a biological clock, and some of us do want kids. So maybe we would want a kid by the time we feel that our biological clock is ticking. So I don't feel that would hamper our careers, because exactly what Vedika is preparing us to do, that you can actually have it all. It's not true that you have to give up your career or give up your family.
So yeah, that's the point I want. How many of you feel that there is a pressure, not a pressure, but there is, there is the reality of the biological clock. You have to.
So I have a different opinion to this. I feel that we are the first generation of 30 somethings who are not following the biological clock.
Thank you,
Like
Alena.
Vanshita said, we have our own biological clocks now. So we are the first generation who is able to convince their parents to get married after 30. We don't have a particular timeline to follow. So yeah.
I like that.
I feel like marriage is no longer a priority as much as it used to be in the past. And I've had very tough conversations with my mother when I've told her, Ma, I don't intend to get married anytime soon. And she never understood it. But over the course of time, when I've explained why. And her main concern was that I'm an individual child and probably nobody would be there to
Explain
take.
why to us also.
I'm very happy the way I am. I'm independent, and I've come from a family where my mother was a financially independent woman. And I've been very fortunate to be raised in a family like that. And I've seen the kind of agency she's had. And I've never felt like she had to be dependent on anybody. And similarly with me, I'm not seeking a life partner. If someone happens to come along the way, I'll be more than happy to, lead my life with them. But as a priority, marriage is not a priority.
And children?
Neither. And this is my personal opinion. I don't want to have kids, but I want to adopt kids. That's my ideology.
Very well. That's a point, in fact, that Anuradha was also going to be, we were talking about it, that is adoption. And, are you all open to adoption? Being single women with kids, with adopting kids.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to take a break and come back with that answer. So don't go away. The pretty exciting answer coming up. Stay with us. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. On the honor of Women's Day, we are here talking to young girls of today and asking them what kind of a India do they really want to inherit, to inhabit and live in. And we were discussing before the break, there's no pressure, at least the girls today don't feel that the earlier pressures of getting married at a certain age. Most of them first want to be financially independent before they actually go in for marriages. Then came my question about biological clock and motherhood. And you wanted to say something.
So, like I said, I want to my life goal. So if I talk about it, I'm still not sure about the career that I want to get into or what work I want to do, but I'm sure that I want a house big enough to have at least 3 dogs and adopt at least 2 children.
3 dogs and 2 children.
So that is set in my mind.
She hasn't mentioned a partner.
Yeah, I know.
And the partner is
Good,
yeah,
good.
It's not such a
there might be a partner, there might not be, and that's not an issue for me. I don't see why I can't do that myself.
Biological clock is the last criteria to get married, because science has progressed so much. We can freeze eggs and so much more. And other than that, there is this concept of being pet parents, which is as beautiful as having
Concept of
your own kids.
Parents.
pet parents.
Pet parents.
Oh, parents to pets.
And
Parents
also,
to pets. Okay, I have to keep up with the lingo.
also the idea of adopting. I believe there are so many unfortunate souls in the orphanages who deserve beautiful lives, and they are just not getting it because the parents passed away or for some other reason. A better thing to do is to adopt those souls, give them a good life, and have a peaceful and beautiful life of your own as well. So I think marriage has nothing to do with becoming a parent in this age.
Unbelievable.
I like that, yeah.
So
Okay.
I think marriage should not be anywhere be associated with a biological clock. It should just happen when you feel like you're clicking with somebody and that person is respecting your space and everything.
Respect is another word that should come in. Yeah, you come in on this, then I have another question for all of you.
I can see there is a lot of difference in opinion in this one question. And I also recognize the fact that this generation is quite different, as it was told. This agency and this difference in our agency comes from the fact that we are quite privileged from a lot of different sections of our own country. So now that we have access to other resources, we can actually question, we're the first generation who can actually question, do we really want children, or are we doing it just for the sake of doing it? Because this has been happening for a very long time. So that also comes into play. And being financially independent, I guess it does not question ki shadi, it does not give you this thought in mind ki, like for example Vanshita mentioned earlier that parents think educating your children means they will start believing marriage is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's not true. It gives you the agency to realize, do you really want it? Is it for you or not? Or is there something else that works for me? And women up until now did not have that choice.
So now we have the option. In fact, I
Yeah.
was reading an article in a newspaper report today about this tribal girl from Orissa. She had 11 kids and then she got her tubes tied up and her husband threw out of the house. And he was saying that as long as she's pregnant, she is under control and submissive. So that is another way of, keeping you under control. But now my next question to you is, moving away from marriage and all, is the work scene. We've heard about the concept of power dressing, of how, or stereotypes of how if a woman is all feminine and soft, then she's treated as a dumb blonde, that isko ये तो बहुत gullible है, naive है. But if you are in this the padded shoulders, coats, jackets, or you give that there's also an optics of you, then you're taken more seriously. Do you ever feel that pressure?
I guess we are all dressed in formals today. And that answers the question.
And the formals all Western wear, most of you. Yes.
I am taking this question because I am wearing a kurti.
Yes.
And I think I heard from a lot of people, what is your definition of formal wear? So some said shirt and pants and some said kurtis. I'm like, I like the fact that you are, normalizing kurtis, because why not? There is power in kurti as well, as long as you can go ahead and do anything you want to do. So I feel...
So don't judge me by my clothes.
Exactly.
Can I come in
Of
here?
course.
Because, Priya, this is a question that we as sort of management at Vedica struggle with a lot. Because there's lots of young people who tell me, don't define me by my clothes. And, it could be a tattoo, it could be not being so groomed like you're expected to, or wearing a certain kind of clothes. And, I've personally battled with that individual expression versus molding people into... And at least our view today is that the importance is of appropriateness to the occasion, to the context, to the place you're in. And if you choose not to do that, then please be aware that there are consequences to that, which you have to be aware of and be willing to take in your stride. right?
Yeah.
So if you turn up for an interview when your placements begin and you have uncombed hair and you have sloppy clothes, there is a person who is going to say, wow, shoddy or tardy person. Now that may not be true, and in 3 interviews they may actually make it. But the thing is, life doesn't sometimes give, in a competitive environment, you may not have that third job. But if being that person dressed in a certain way is that important to you, go ahead and be that person. Know that it could have
A consequence.
consequences. So I think it's very hard for us to say what is should you be power dressed or in a sari or feminine or whatever. I
Let
think
me
it's really about-
modify my questions,
Yeah.
because what Anuradha is saying is also correct, and also that applies to men and women. It's not really a women's question. But as women, are you? Do you feel if you show your feminine side, whether it's dressing in a feminine way, or just being a more softer, gentler, not raising your voice kind of a person, would you not be taken seriously at work?
I think it's more about your confidence and how bold are you and how unafraid are you to show your opinions rather than in what way you dress. Even if I dress in the most ethnic or the most Indian way, if my ideas are clear, my thoughts are clear, I'm confident enough, I think I'll be taken seriously, and I am taken seriously if my thoughts make sense
So
to
if
everyone.
a woman is called manly, would you take that as a compliment or an insult? Or insult?
Insult.
No, you have to think about that. I mean,
No.
sorry. No, my question was that a lot of women who are opinionated or who have a expression कहते हैं ये तो बिल्कुल manly है. Now अपनी तरफ से they may be giving you a compliment saying you are one of the boys, but as a woman,
Yeah, no, I think working with young women, Priya, we are noticing that that's all changing.
that is all
That's
changing.
changing. And I'll tell you again one very quick example, and we do that very actively at Vedica, and I think other places too. Why are tears a problem at the workplace? Yelling is not, but tears are.
Good, quite. Huh?
And that is only because men yell and women cry. So when there were 10 men in a boardroom, tears have no place. When there are 5 men and 5 women in a boardroom, there'll be as much space for some tears as there is for some loud voices. I think extreme emotions of both kinds are not okay in the workplace. You can't be bawling to death, nor can you be yelling your guts out. But naturalized emotional expression, because of the way we have been conditioned and brought up, I think there's space for both. So in our offices, you can cry. Sometimes people come to my room to cry and go away. I don't even ask them kya hua. Something would have happened. It's not like it's coming in the way.
Yeah.
So
I have to confess, my first few years of my career, I used to be running to the loo because I used to be crying. And sometimes you don't want to cry, but the tears just come out.
But I think that's because of the way the narrative around it is. हमारे यहाँ सब रोते हैं.
सब रोते हैं.
Cry and nobody thinks anything of it. It's natural. And think about it. There's this thing called the double bind. Again, the Vedica girls are very.
Double?
It's called the double bind.
Bind. Okay.
For women, exactly what you're speaking about. So imagine a woman who's at home, mother of 3 cuddly kids. The first one is going away to boarding school when he's 8, and you don't shed a tear. Who are you? Some heartless cow. Right?
Okay. We will.
You can beep it out. Yeah, but you're a heartless person. But if you're at work and your favorite colleague is leaving and you cry, then you're an emotional wreck and not fit for work. How do you be this person who is emotionally responsive in one half of your life and emotionally not responsive? This integrated whole that comes to work for both people, again, we have to redefine the workplace. Basically, we have to, as we make more and more space for ourselves in the workplace, we have to redefine the workplace. And as more men make more and more space for themselves in the home, in domestic chores, that space will get redefined as well.
In fact, redefining the workplace is something that I really like. Do you want to say something in the earlier conversation?
Yeah. So, like we were talking about how in a workplace, the main point about navigating in a workplace is actually understanding yourself more than, and that was my biggest takeaway from Vedica, is the toughest assignments that I've had to do are the assignments on myself, not on the coursework.
Assignments on yourself, Mane?
So, we have a lot of assignments where you have to reflect on the learnings on each class.
Okay.
Be it economics, be it any management course, how you feel, how that made you feel. And we don't understand how empowering it is to understand your true emotions. The minute you understand how you're feeling and how others are feeling, the power of communication is, I think it's very essential to navigating in a workspace.
Okay. One more quick question before we go. The issue of divorce is also, now it's more or less accepted. But are any of you hesitant about divorce, or when you go in for a marriage, would you give it, even if, are you prepared to walk out when things go wrong, or would you like to, a little wary of pressure of divorce?
So I definitely feel that respect is something that we all deserve, and I feel that if I'm not getting enough love and respect in any relationship, I would be free to walk out, and I feel it should be normal. And I
Okay.
feel that sometimes it is important also, where you're not feeling respected. Why do you want to stay at such a place if you're financially
Respect is
independent?
important. Okay, for you?
Yes.
So, a lot of us have seen that in the society, marriage is seen as a very big goal or a end goal that a woman needs to achieve. But we again need to understand that it is just a part of the life, and it is not what your entire life revolves around or is based around. So, if a thing did not work out in your life, you have many other things to look forward to. So, I don't think that's such a big issue. Again, what Gitali said, if you're not getting respect, it's better to walk out than thinking something's wrong with you, because maybe it's the other person who's wrong.
Okay. On that, okay. Quickly.
Small point to add to it. We are still growing, and we never stop growing. And be it from the male perspective or the female perspective, if we want to grow in different directions at a later stage in our life, it should be okay to grow individually, and the companionship, the love and respect, if it is not there, you should walk out of it if you are good as friends rather than husband and wife. So
Okay.
marriage should not be the end of life.
So marriage should not be what defines you. It's who you are, your individual.
It should
sense
not be
that
your
should define you.
universe.
Okay.
It should be a small part of it.
On that note, I will end. It's been really a refreshing conversation with women who are not, who are independent, know what they want, and also know how to get what they want. Really. So on that note, we wish you a very happy Women's Day, and thank you for joining us, and thank you, Anuradha, for helping us.